Hello and welcome to this week's Political Adda. And today our discussion is nothing but what's happening in Maharashtra and particularly in Mumbai. 29 municipal corporations across Maharashtra had gone to polls on the 15th of January. Elections to many of these corporations were pending for more than 5 years. And these 29 corporations also include Mumbai, which is known as the country's richest civic body, and there's always a political scramble to control what is known as the country's richest civic body. We've been getting some early trends on which party is leading where, so on and so forth. So, in today's political adda, we'll try and make sense of where the political order in Maharashtra goes from here. How do various parties settle down into an equation before 2029, which is when the next Lok Sabha and assembly elections will be held. Joining me in this discussion today is Ajinkya Gaikwad. He has extensively researched on various aspects of politics, and he's also an academician. My colleague Purva Chitnis from Mumbai, and our political editor from Delhi, DK Singh. What's happening in Maharashtra so far is that the BJP is leading in a majority of the 29 municipal corporations, quite like how it had swept the municipal council polls in December last year. In Mumbai, also the alliance of the BJP and the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena seems to be, crossing the halfway mark to be able to install their mayor in the 227-member municipal corporation. The Thackerays had come together. The Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena and Raj Thackeray-led MNS had joined hands for this election. Both put together are, somewhere. Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena is definitely likely to be in the second position in the order of things in Mumbai. And Congress, which had contested separately, once again seems to be on its way to posting its worst ever tally. So that's how the situation stands now. I will first come to you, Ajinkya. If you could just talk a little bit about what you make of today's results.
Today's results are actually, you know, uh, firstly trying to, set up the political narrative for the next 5 to 10 years of the country. One of the first takeaways one could have is that despite identity calls or despite identity based politics, language based politics, particularly in Mumbai, which was inaugurated last year and which kind of held its momentum through the last few months, has not been able to really dent the political future of BJP Maharashtra, particularly Mumbai. Considering the strategic timings of polls that have occurred in Maharashtra from the December of last year to January of this year, uh, the BJP has only gained higher momentum. Uh, so they've kind of were riding on a wave, and that momentum has really stuck to them. Uh, Coming back to the point on identity politics, is that the kind of voting that was supposed to happen, the polarized voting that was supposed to happen in Mumbai particularly, has happened, but it has actually, I believe, has backfired in some way against the Thackeray cousins, where possibly the Marathi vote, which was supposed to be consolidated, has not consolidated as well. It is rather scattered, it is rather divisive, divided, and it continues to be divided even today, where the Marathi voter has options of the BJP and even the faction, the bigger faction of Shiv Sena that is led by Eknath Shinde. Uh, of course, the issue remained identity based, issue remained emotional, and the issue remained relevant to only those wards or only those areas where the Marathi population is considerably higher than the non Marathi speakers. Whereas largely the wards in Mumbai may have been composed of Marathi and non Marathi speakers almost equal or almost considerably and it is in this situation that it has the consolidation of Marathi votes has not really worked. So, uh, I mean, my first takeaway, particularly for Mumbai, would be that the calls for Marathi consolidation has really worked. The idea of evoking Sanyukta Maharashtra struggle has not really worked because people might find it irrelevant in certain wards because they have probably moved on, not beyond their Marathi identity, identity, but the Marathi identity is not now supplemented by calls for development and also calls for the communal identity, which is also riding the wave of Hindutva. The rest of the situation in the rest of the Maharashtra is also now very clear by the time we speak. I believe most of the municipal corporations have shown their trends in favor of BJP, barring Latur or in case of Chandrapur, I believe, where there was some local infighting and some political narratives that went wrong, which are locally relevant, I believe. The rest of the state has been controlled largely by the BJP. Uh, and one thing maybe before I part is I wanted to just put it up here that uh, though the elections were local, the narratives were quite national. The narratives were quite statewide. Not necessarily local issues have always made it to the local discourse or to the electoral discourse. The elections were as national and as statewide as they were local. So those were my uh, takeaways largely at the outset.
So, one more thing that has emerged clearly from this election is that there was this the general opinion was that if Uddhav Thackeray does not win the Mumbai civic poll this time, his party would be decimated. It would be very difficult for the party to bounce back before 2026. Now we see a situation where, it doesn't seem like the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray is going to make a mayor in Mumbai this time, but it has been able to hold on to its traditional voter base, going by the trends that we've been seeing since morning. It I mean, roughly about 50 to 60 odd wards in Mumbai is still a significant it's still controlling a significant portion of the population. So my question is to both DK and Ajinkya here, but how do you see Uddhav Thackeray's future in politics now?
Uh, in my opinion, the party is not decimated, but the party is to be only bigger than the earlier record. That has certainly not happened. And with the cousins coming together and the whole narrative being shaped Marathi versus non-Marathi, Marathi, that did not really work. What it probably has done is that if I'm talking about an existential crisis of the Marathi Manus in Mumbai, that was highlighted, so that was successful in a way, but that has not been able to get them beyond 60 to 65. I'm only talking in a relative sense where a party or a group of parties who fight about 227 wards or 227 seats, getting 65 plus 9 makes the tally around 74, 75 is not very great score, considering that the mammoth opposition in this case or the ruling party, which was BJP, it is still a face saver, but it is not still not delivering the kind of promise that it made during the campaign, is what I would put. I believe uh, ideology had kind of exited Maharashtra's political scene in the last elections itself. The kind of alliances that were forged to bring Uddhav Thackeray government in power, eventually how the alliances were broken and how the local elections this year in Maharashtra have been particularly fought, and the grounds under which it was fought. Uh, there are times I believe that were bereft of ideology. The most of the polls that you see were kind of beyond ideology. I mean, in an academic sense, one could call it a very, very post ideological kind of a situation where people are having narratives, they are having certain, basic meta narratives, but largely these local elections have once again proved that ideologies are possibly only secondary to the actual power or
See,
actual
in
grabbing of power.
2019, I think you're right there, but in 2019, when the Congress agreed to go with the Shiv, the projection was that was to keep the BJP out of power. So you could make that ideological adjustment. Now, at this stage, Thackerays are coming together, given their narrative, it will make things very difficult. Now, last alliance was post-election. This time, given the way Uddhav Thackeray has shifted. Congress will find it difficult to have any pre-election adjustment with Uddhav Thackeray. Of course, in politics, anything is possible. But the way you look at Rahul Gandhi's politics, things will be difficult. For these people to come together again, it will require a leap of faith for the Congress.
If anything, it'll be very difficult for them to justify their alliance in Mumbai at least, given what the hard stance that Uddhav Thackeray has taken. Purva, you interviewed both Uddhav and Aditya Thackeray during the duration of this campaign. And one topic that you discussed with both of them was also this reunion of the two Thackeray families, the Raj Thackeray side of the family and Uddhav Thackeray side of the family. What we can see now is MNS doesn't seem to have. This is absolutely prima facie. Individual wards and how people have voted will need to be studied. But it doesn't seem that MNS has brought a lot of advantage to the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena. How do you see the future of this alliance? And irrespective of the future of the political alliance, do you think the families are reunited for good?
Well, that exactly is the question that I asked both of them. That irrespective of the results, whether this family will stay together, because we have seen in the last 1 year how there was this growing closeness, and at least the photos and the videos everywhere across in the media, and they were trying to project that they were together. And the answer to that, both of them gave that yes, now we have come together. There was a vacuum in between, and that kind of like the air is clear, and we have come together. But politically speaking, if you look at MNS and in BNC elections, MNS has always, once in single digit or at the max like 15, 20 odd seats in BNC. And every time, either they have allied with some power or the other. And even Raj Thakuray's politics, if we look in the last few years, he has flipped as and when he thought it is convenient for him. So it is very much, it will be interesting to see finally how much MNS wins, whether it has actually helped Shiv Sena UBT at all, and whether there is any lucrative kind of offer from the other side to the MNS, MNS candidates to kind of like, break away from Shiv Sena UBT and probably come and join in the power if at all, Shiv Sena and, BJP comes to power. So it all depends on how MNS is going to go ahead, and basis of that, maybe like these family equations and family coming together, growing together, kind of eating together, kind of scenario will change.
Purva, as I look at it from here, Raj Thackeray, given his track record, I mean, he has been a political opportunist. Even this
Right.
alliance, this coming together of brothers, was about opportunism.
Right.
3.5 years, you don't really have any incentive to stick together. And knowing Raj
Yeah.
Thackeray, he would probably like to deal with the powers and with people who are in power. He can't be without that for the next 3.5 years. That
Absolutely.
emotional, yeah. So that emotional reunion is not going to happen that way.
Exactly. It all depends like how MNS post results would like to, be with. I mean, I'm sure MNS did not want to like now just want to like, sit out of power somewhere. If, there is some good offer from the BJP, MNS might want to consider. And if that actually happens, then again, this whole, the brothers are not together and there is this animosity that might just come up, because even if we see that when Raj Thackeray broke away from the Shiv Sena party in way back in 2000, 2005, that time also his problem was Uddhav Thackeray. He does not want Uddhav Thackeray to be the face. So even right now in the press conferences that we have seen, the joint press conferences, the rallies that we have seen, it seemed that Raj Thackeray tried to overpower Uddhav Thackeray even in the press conferences. In one of the instances where a question was asked to Uddhav Thackeray, there was an instant where Raj Thackeray snatched the mic away from Uddhav Thackeray and started speaking. So Raj Thackeray's entire politics is about showing that he is powerful. CM will come to his house. He is not going to go and visit anywhere. So that power, if he has to stay relevant in politics, he will have to somehow be with power. He will have to be pally with Devendra Fadnavis, that we have seen in the last few years, that he was pally with Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde both. So I don't see a problem for Raj Thackeray to go switch again and go back to BJP and Shiv Sena.
So basically, there will be visitors from both sides once again when the Ganesh festival happens this year at Raj Thackera's house. And now to talk of yet another leader whose party cannot sit tight without being in power, and that's Ajit Pawar NCP. In fact, the very reason that he said that they broke away from Sharad Pawar led NCP was because Ajit Pawar believed that it is better to be in power so that he's able to service constituents better. Now, Ajit Pawar gave his everything to two municipal corporations this election, and the results at both have been far from, I mean, forget encouraging, but they've been abysmal, especially in Pune. Pimpri Chinchwad, it's at least a slightly better show, and the two NCPs actually reunited for this. What is Ajit Pawar's future now within the Mahayuti? And also, he's taken on the BJP in very strong words. It's clearly not gone down well with the BJP.
Yeah, well, if you look at Ajit Pawar's future, in immediate effect, it looks bleak to me. But considering the kind of politics that Ajit Dada does in Maharashtra, I believe he will be able to hover around with the BJP as long as possible. Of course, the bargaining power was always kind of contested and possibly lower than Eknath Shinde. It is only going to reduce in the next few days come. Uh, but if you look at Mumbai-based politics, and if you look at Pune-based politics, you see there is a kind of rejection to the family dynasty kind of politics. I'm not denying that there are no little family dynasties that even the BJP has created. But if you look at the larger narrative or the larger base of a political party, where Purva also happened to mention how the families were kind of projected, the Thackerays were projected in the last few days. Uh, Also, in the same lines, even the Pawars have the same clout in Pimpri Chinchwad and Pune. It seems that there is a common rejection among the urban voter, particularly the urban voter, who is now distrustful and not very happy with the family-based loyalty programs that were started or inaugurated in Maharashtra, particularly Mumbai and Pune, where Pune has largely stuck to the BJP, which was obviously going to be the case. Pimpri Chinchwad comes as a big blow, but if I am to connect this, I connect it to the larger distrust among people over family-based loyalties or family hierarchies.
So the question is, why would the BJP like to stay with him? You have a reliable, ideologically similar, ideologically, closer ally like Eknath Shinde. Now that you're even BMC and many other corporations, you depend on him. So whether whatever equations Shinde may have with the chief minister, but he has the blessing of the high command. Now, given these results, Shinde would like the BJP to, get rid of the other ally, and we would like the BJP to depend exclusively on him.
Um, Doing away DK with the ally like Ajit Pawar might be a little problematic. Getting rid of Ajit Dada is difficult as of now. Considering that when we talk of Mumbai particularly, maybe it's a different case. But Pune and Pimpri Chinchwad still will hold on to certain semi-rural instances or elements of politics, where Ajit Pawar still holds over certain pockets in Pune, which could be a make and break or which could be important for a local elections or even an assembly segment. So completely writing them off, where the patronage network in Pune and Pimpri, which are comparatively newer cities, or maybe if I don't say core of Pune, but the expanse of Pune, which is the Pune metropolitan region and the Pimpri Chinchwad, is comparatively newer. And these newer cities hold on to their patronage networks very tightly, as against a city like Mumbai. And because of those patronage networks, which are very strong and entrenched, Ajit Pawar will have certain holes in certain pockets. Doing away with him entirely could not have been a very good move. Therefore, all those ideas of friendly fights and even Ajit Dada testing waters and having those friendly fights, etc., which has obviously not gone down too well with the BJP High Command, but it has also given a chance for the BJP to, I mean, rethink on the entire alliance. But then completely doing away or being dismissive of Ajit Pawar is going to be difficult. It would take a few more years for the BJP, or maybe a year or so, to entirely, kind of exchange themselves with
No,
Ajit
I'm not
Pawar.
saying it has happened immediately, but if you look at BJP's politics, also, I was talking from Shinde's point of view, the BJP's politics across the country, I mean, in every state, wherever there is a dominant player. Now, BJP has tasted blood on Pawar's turf. After that, the BJP, wherever it goes, it tries to push the landlord there out and occupy that territory. That's even the BJP's politics. Now that it has tasted blood, probably going by what the party has done in other states, it would really like to push it further and expand the party's footprints and consolidate its gains. So I'm looking at
Yes.
it from that point of view also. Look at, say, another election going state is Assam. Now, if you look at the BJP's politics, now you have this Bodoland Territorial Council. BJP went with the BPF in the last election, and then when the Territorial Council election came, it went with UPPL because it wanted to undermine BPF's influence there. Didn't work this time in BTC polls. BPF has bounced back, and now the BJP has got one BPF MLA in the government because it's a compromise. But the initial strategy was to somehow push the BPF out and occupy that territory with the help of a smaller player, which was UPPL earlier. If you look at the BJP history in different states, that's how the BJP operates because BJP is always in an expansion mode. Now that it sees and through the performance in Pune and Pimpri Chitwas and those areas, other areas, BJP by its very political nature would like to consolidate the gains and beat whatever competition it has there. It may not happen right away, but that's how the BJP has been playing its strategy everywhere.
It gives the BJP a springboard, definitely, to start consolidating Ajit Pawar's pockets in Pune district. The upcoming Zilla Parishad elections would then be very key for Ajit Pawar to be able to show that he still holds dominance over rural Western Maharashtra, even if urban strongholds have slipped.
So I think we have talked about the two Thackerays. What about the two Pawars? What's the future there?
The Like I said in the earlier response also, I mean, totally outrightly being dismissive of them would be difficult. Uh, uh, Probably, I would like to believe that this local election is a big jolt to both the parties, but there is always a scope of a newer kind of leadership that might emerge in the party. Considering that NCP and both Shiv Sena are parties which are largely family-based parties, it might be very difficult for them to cope up with the kind of loss that they've had. But I would still like to believe that there is some hope because those little pockets are going to be there. And as Mansi just mentioned about the Zilla Parishad elections, there are certain panels and there are certain rays of hopes or uh, certain caucuses that are still remaining. So I would see that as still a competitive space, considering, but also saying that I'd also like to put it this way, that there was a time when the Congress was a mammoth party in the entire India, particularly Maharashtra also. So if you look at Congress, it was right there in the Gram Panchayat, it was there in the Zilla Parishad, it was there in the state, and it was there at the national level. And if you read on to the analysis of the Congress system or the Congress dominance or hegemony at that point of time, the voter was of a belief that if I vote for this party at the local level, at the most local level, the national and the state and the district is going to only fall in place and take the local ahead. Probably it is a situation that BJP will try to exploit, is that we are at the local, we are at the state, we are at the district, we are also at the national, and it is possibly our time to take Zilla Parishad and even the Gram Panchayats in our stride, and eventually emerge like a alternative to that mammoth Congress system that operated in post-independence India.
Do you see the two powers going together again in Jila Parishad?
Will this
I don't.
result actually drive them away from each other or bring them closer? How do you read this election in terms of what will it do to Pawar unity?
And also,
I
is there
believe
any
that
merger on cards? Do you see that?
the merger, I mean, it's very difficult to comment on Powers given uh, the kind of flip flops that have happened in the past. I really wish not to comment on whether will be a merger or not. But the kind of route that they have faced everywhere, the alliance just might continue, so that, I mean, the existence of both parties, like the Thackerays fought for their existence, even Powers will kind of stay along together to fight for their existence, at least at the local level, where at least some loyalists of the Pawar and some loyalists of the Ajit Pawar faction would combine and put up a show rather than being dismally routed by the BJP. So it could continue as an alliance for one more time for again a local election, but I'd really hold my cards until the next big election happens.
And DK, one question for you. So this election, BJP has obviously swept, this round of elections, and Devendra Fadnavis has kind of done it by himself without any help from in the senior leadership in terms of active campaigning. We did not see any major Amit Shah rally, Narendra Modi rally. There was not even there weren't even talks about uh, or demands from the cadre demanding, asking for these two leaders to come here and campaign. And then, this strong result was still delivered. So this obviously boosts Devendra Fadnavis' position to a great extent in Maharashtra for sure. But how, in terms of how the power equations are at the center, at the national level, how does this play out there for Fadnavis?
For now, not much, but no, of course, Fadnavis has emerged as a star of the show, and he has actually re-established himself as a complete package as a politician. Don't forget, even in 2019, the BJP under Fadnavis did not do badly. It
Yeah,
had what, 105 seats.
105 seats,
Just
single
that the
largest party.
other
Yeah.
folks came together. So it was not even Fadnavis's defeat even in 2019. Then he emerged all the more stronger. And now he has proved that he is a good administrator. He is your infra man of Maharashtra today. He is seen as, and then he is pushing that Hindutva narrative also. We have Purva has done stories about this Nashik thing where you Kumbh Mela and all these things happening. So he emerged as an infra person, as a development person from his first term, and now he is going to the other extent also, where he becomes the Hindutva face. Something that for Yogi Adityanath, for instance, is the other way around. He was the Hindutva face. Now he's trying to be the Vikas Purus, so development man. Fadnavis again doing both things together, but bringing the other elements in now, which was he was not known for in this first term. So that's a complete package that works for the BJP. And for Maharashtra, that's what he has become now. Any rivals, any detractor, he's in complete control of Maharashtra now, and nobody's going to touch him. He will have his way. Point is, if you're looking at his national projection, well, if you talk about some other CMs like Yogi Adityanath, they have this pan-India appeal. But Fadnavis also, he has the chance to become that, because don't forget, this is how Narendra Modi also emerged. Now, Narendra Modi, if you look at his history, how he started with Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. I think it was in 78 or 80s. First time when he ran one election and brought the BJP to power there in the municipal corporation. From then on, kept expanding. He was an organizer first, and then he became a mass leader. And he was confined to his state for a couple of terms before actually started going out and projecting himself outside. So this kind of moment for Fadnavis, that he is in complete control of the state. He has proved himself as a complete package. Now, how he moves beyond the state in terms of his appeal. That we have to say.
One story that we keep on writing every election season, and it's always the same headline, is the continued decimation of the Congress. We were just joking about it, before we started recording this episode, that in every election we are talking about worst ever tally, worst ever tally. So now again, Congress in Mumbai has come up with its worst ever tally, and it's in the low double digits. It was 31 in 2017. Now, this is the city that the Congress was born in. It ruled Mumbai's municipal corporation for many years before the Shiv Sena came into the picture. Uh, how do we see Congress, repairing itself in Mumbai?
If I would look at what has happened to the Congress in Pune and Mumbai and many other places, I see it as an alternative or as a non-alternative to BJP's politics. Uh, Largely, we are now used to a politics which is pandering to or catering to communal notions, along with middle class notions of development and democracy, which are clearly now the strongholds of the BJP. Uh, for the Congress, what has remained in Mumbai also is that certain local pockets of minority and migrant voters. Among that, also the migrant voters has considerably shifted to the BJP. It is a very clear consolidation now. But it's also a matter of relevance, Mansi, that though the party was born in Mumbai or Bombay that time, it was an erstwhile party which had a lot of relevance in those times. But the Congress has not been able to really, reframe its politics or represent itself or reinvigorate itself despite so many losses and despite so many narratives, being around. So I see it is simply bad politics and a complete loss of organization that is again proved. The tally gets worse. Tally becomes worse after elections because the organizations are further depleted. That is what happened to the Congress once again. But one point I mean, can yeah, shall I complete
No,
this?
please continue, please
Yeah, yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
So, because you brought up Congress in the entire election, if you see, even if we talk of Pune to a small extent, but Mumbai to a large extent, there is a big Dalit pocket that exists in Mumbai. And there was a time that Mumbai mayoral candidate was from Chembur. It was Chandrakant Handore, and he was from
Hmm.
the Congress.
Yeah.
There have been strongholds of Dalit pockets in Mumbai which are completely, routed today. You don't hear of Dalit politics. If you see the entire news coverage, if you see barring a few campaigning in Mumbai, into Dalit strongholds or slum pockets in Mumbai, we did not even get to see Vanchit more. I mean, today in the world of social media, one can come across reels because of the ecosystems that you may have on Instagram. But then beyond that, the presence of Vanchit and Congress was completely missing. Particularly, Vanchit did try to put up a show, but you see the inconsistencies and limitations of Dalit politics today. What elections in Pune and Mumbai largely Mumbai prove that even Dalit politics, particularly, which was a kind of a vibrant, radical, counter Hindutva or anti Hindutva politics that existed once upon a time, has been defeated. This is a more larger shift of the narrative, which according to me is, this year will probably be remembered for that. That there is no talk of Dalit politics in Bombay anymore.
Hmm.
This is
If I
something
may
that I
continue
just.
here, yeah,
Sorry, Ajinkya, on that same point, I want to ask you, how do you look at Congress's decision to then, in that case, tie up with Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi? And do you think it was a sensible decision to move out of MVA, go solo, then tie up with VPA? How do you look at that?
Uh, if you ask me, it was not a great move, but Congress wouldn't have gotten a good deal. So whatever organization it has, it wouldn't have gotten a good deal from the MVA, Shiv Sena and Manase particularly. Again, as DK pointed out in the earlier part of the discussion, that having Manse on ground with the Shiv Sena, the narrative was always going to be around Hindutva. Unlike, it could have been something different during the assembly elections, but now it was going to be, nativist or identity-based politics, which is very clear. Whatever is left of Congress, Congress couldn't have afforded to leave that little minority vote that it holds on to. So there was no choice that the Congress was left with. Vanchit was possibly the only choice. I would say that Vanchit had no other choice but to have the Congress, considering that even the Dalit vote is now scattered between Mahayuti and Uddhav Sena, or UBT particularly, because the Ramdas Athole faction has been with BJP for a long time. And if you see the de-radicalization of the city or politics overall, you'll see that there are RPI factions who have been very openly voting and supporting BJP candidates or UBT candidates, forgetting a contemporary past of riots, of various skirmishes that have happened between the Hindutva forces, particularly led by Shiv Sena, the erstwhile Shiv Sena, I believe, and the Dalits. So that has, obviously gone away. That has now faded. Vanchit tries to hold on to that ideological stance, and therefore they chose the Congress. If you also see closely, Vanchit did not have good candidates to put up in certain places, even despite having Dalit constituencies or slum pockets. So it was kind of an alliance which was inevitable, or rather necessary for both of them to survive and show some show of strength, possibly.
So I'll just add one thing here. Rahul Gandhi is not going to lose his sleep today. He never has after any election defeat, simply because the Congress leadership is convinced that these voters, Adyani voters, ignorant voters, they have lost their way. Someday, some wisdom will prevail on them and they'll come to the Gandhis. Please forgive us for voting for somebody else. We are back to you. And then the Congress will come back to power then. The Congress seems to be waiting for the voters to apologize for not voting for the Congress. The Congress does not need to do anything as such. That's how the
Or
party has been.
blaming the election machinery, or saying that the elections were invalid. That
Yeah.
is the other argument. Yeah. So we'll end on this note. Thanks a lot for joining us, Ajinkya, for this discussion today. Thank you, DK, Purva. It's a busy day for all of us, and thank you to our viewers for taking out the time and listening to our perspectives. Keep coming back again. Thank you.
Thank you, Manse.